Well, hello, kids. I guess this is a rant today. Now, you haven't known me to get too political on my channel. I never tell you what politics to have. Though I'm a very political person and was a political activist for a great chunk of my life. Still pretty active. Um, and it shocks me that I have to bring you this message. Uh, because I just thought it was a no-brainer. Real witches don't vote Republican unless they're stupid. Now, I'm sorry if I just called you stupid. I know I piss some people off sometimes, but I'm okay with that. I'm sorry if I just called you stupid. But my job here is to help you be less stupid. Now, let me go back just a little bit because I find that I'm one of the few witches that remembers this thing that I spent um, several decades reminding people. George W. Bush, man that fucked up this country worse than it ever been fucked up, and it's still fucked up. I live in America, by the way, the U.S. of A. Uh, but what few witches seem to remember is that George Bush originally ran on a platform of doing away with the religious rights of Wiccans. Hotbed of controversy at that time in America. Let me hold on a second here. I'm sorry. I should have done that. I should have done that a while ago. Okay. My virus software will distort my voice if I let it go. So at any rate, George, or hotbed of controversy at the time was the fact that there were witches on military bases, and apparently the powers that be had not realized that before this time. But one by one by one, with news story, this coven, that coven, these Wiccans, that Wiccan, this military base, that military base. It was before Wiccans had their own tombstone, so it was a while back. But George Bush originally ran on the platform that he was going to do away with the religious rights of Wiccans and kick the Wiccans off the military bases. Uh, Lucky for us, he became distracted by the Muslims because that was his plan. That's uh, that's what got him elected. That was his original platform when he ran. The evangelicals dug that shit. Now we reach another election cycle here in 2016 where, again, as many times in my life, I'm voting against. I am not voting for anybody. I'm voting against Donald fucking Trump because he's psycho as all hell. The craziest motherfucker that's going to sink the entire world into war if he gets elected. So I'm voting against Trump in the way that uh, will beat Trump. So I'm voting the lesser of two evils, as is quite common. Uh, but for me, I am a witch. That is my race. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what sex you are. My race is witch. We are a race of people that want to do magic. I think of it that way. And I know witches of all colors, and I know witches of all faiths. I know witches that are Catholics and somehow uh, get around that. I know witches that believe themselves to be Christians. Somehow they can get around that. But the fact is, Christianity has been at war with witchcraft um, for as long as we know. The Bible still to this day says, "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live." A specific mistranslation, a purposeful mistranslation by King James because he had issues with witches. And it originally said, "Thou shalt not suffer a poisoner to live," but he changed it very specifically, switched the words out. Um, but Christians are never going to look at the fact that their book is wrong, their book is full of mistakes. Uh, but in this country, we have the most psycho bunch of right-wing Christians, and they all tend to be Republicans. And they've been trying to push forward the Christian agenda more and more. I've watched this country go backwards 50 years in the last 10 years. Um, and at this stage of the game, they have used their religious rights to abuse other people. If you think it's going to stop with the gays, you don't watch your history. If you think they're just going to gun down unarmed black people in the street and you're not black, so it doesn't matter to you, you are not a student of history. You stay silent while they come for all these different groups, and you're next. You're next. You were in the Bible. You were on the agenda. Gay people weren't even in the Bible, on the agenda. It was never a big deal in the Bible, but witchcraft always was. Witchcraft always was the enemy. I don't care if you think you're a Christian, they will come and tie you to a stake if you burn candles and incense and manipulate things on altars to do your will. If you read tarot cards, if you do astrology, all of these things to this day will get you stoned in the Bible. And if you think Sharia law is bad, you haven't looked at the Bible much, because their version of Sharia law is just as bad or worse, and a matter of fact, they all come from the same body of work. The Quran and the Bible come from the same body of work. It's got the same people in it. It's not a war against the Christians and the Muslims, it's a war against the rest of us not having to be indoctrinated by either one of these fucks. But unfortunately, in this country, there's one party that dominates the psychotic right-wing Christian agenda, and that's the Republicans. And if you think that they're going to stop with the gays and say it's a violation of their religious rights to have to sell a cake to a gay person, one politician put out an argument that stopping his kid from gay bashing another kid at school would violate his religious rights. And that's actually an argument that somebody floated out there, and it went. People accepted that in this country. If you think for a minute that after they get away with that, some fool's not going to come up and say, you know, forcing me to suffer a witch to live is a violation of my religious rights. It's gonna fucking happen. Unless they're stopped now, we're next. And if you vote these fucking people into power, you're like a race traitor. You're a witch race traitor. You're a fool. Now, I don't like the Democrats either, but they're not coming for me. They're not going to tie me to a stake. I haven't heard any Democrats that climb up on the podium and rant about their religion and carry the Bible in their hand and put God first. And I can't think of a Democrat that has put forward that this is a Christian country. America, the U.S., was never a Christian country. It's in all the original documents. It's in the Constitution. It's in the Bill of Rights. Somehow, the Republicans are pushing forward that this is a Christian country, and they're moving for more and more Christian laws, and to be able to use their faith as a way to persecute others. And, you know, if you read the book, it's a good argument. It's part of their faith to persecute others. They're supposed to. It's in the Bible, right? God's a vengeful person and apparently wants them to do his dirty work for them. It's in the Bible, you know, a book written by humans. So, yeah, I don't like the Democrats. I know voting third party at this stage of the game will make Trump win. So I can't do that either. When I say the lesser of two evils, I'm speaking as a witch. The Republican Party is the party of the right-wing Christians and the Nazis and the Klan and the gay bashers and the women haters. There's no party worse for women's rights than Republicans, and I sure thought that in all the variations of our crafts out there, women are at least equal, if not superior, in a lot of, especially like Wicca. Uh, Now, I'm not necessarily a Wiccan, but if I ever had to defend my religious rights in a court of law, I would be then, because Wiccans have religious rights. Witches, not really. No, it's not a religious right just to be a witch. If you're a witch Wiccan, those kind of become interchangeable terms, at least in this country, for quite some time. You don't necessarily have your religious rights guaranteed federally under any of the other crafts, but you do under Wicca. Um, so remember, after they're done coming for the gays, after they're done coming for the blacks, and yeah, I know it's not all Republicans that are gunning down the blacks. It's just the Republicans that every time an unarmed black person gets gunned down, the first thing they say is, "We got to support the police. We got to support the police." And if they do ever say anything, bad about the fact that an innocent person was shot, it's a pretty short sentence followed by a bunch of talking points, a bunch of sound bites. Support the police. Support the police. All lives matter. All lives matter. Those are usually Republicans that fucking say that. So, again, if you didn't get the message, this is my message. I'm sticking to it. Real witches don't vote Republican. Don't be a fool. Don't get us all killed. Don't let the Christians take over this country. It was never meant to be that way. Thank you. That's my rant. God's bless you, and God's bless the United States of America.